Hey there, I'm Tyler, and this is the Everyday Dad Podcast. At Everyday Dad, we tell stories. Our goal is to make you laugh, make you think, maybe cry, but ultimately, we want to help you to be the best dad that you can be. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get going. Welcome to the Everyday Dad Podcast. My name is Tyler. I'm super excited because today is my first live in-person interview where I can touch my
really here.
my guests. The other ones have been online, which have been super duper fun. But today we're doing this, so we will give it a shot. I'm super excited. I'm here with my friend Jose. And we'll get going. So
let's do this.
So for starters, I guess Jose, maybe if you don't mind doing a little intro, just kind of telling us about yourself, family, what qualifies you to be a dad. I know you. I know your daughters. I love your daughters. Your wife's
really
awesome.
A dad. You really have a
Are
daughter.
you
I've seen them. I've confirmed it.
They are. Yeah. They've come over to my house. Yes.
Well, my name is Jose Fontela. I'm a dad of two. I have a 3-year-old, about to be 3 next week, and and an almost 1-year-old. So pretty much in the trenches right now. I have an amazing wife, Amanda. We've been together for about maybe total 5 years. I'd say we've been together between married and dating and all of that. I have a job.
Okay. Nice.
I'm nice.
This
is my first time being on the podcast, so I'm I don't even know what to say.
You're all good.
I have a job. I'm a housing counselor. I work at a nonprofit. It's a cool job. It's eventually want to look for something else. Kind of, I would say I'm kind of an ambitious person, so I'm always seeking to grow and what's the next thing or what's kind of the next level that I can get to.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And yeah, like I said, I know your family. They're fantastic. We love these guys. Usually I like to start off each episode just with asking some just kind of random questions. Since you were here in person, I will let you choose, unless it's a really dumb question. Then we can.
I'm gonna go for the blue one.
Ooh, the blue one. They're all blue.
Ooh. Okay. Wow.
Do you want me to read?
Oh yeah, you read
okay.
It. Yeah.
Okay, this will be fun. Do you have any superstitions? I'm a little stitious.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much anymore.
Okay.
Now I'm kind of, more logic, I guess, sometimes. But no, I mean, one of my biggest ones would be a black cat crossing the street.
Okay.
And just because one day my stepdad, we were driving, I don't know where we were going. We were on this road for... it felt like it was 5 miles. Maybe it was a quarter mile. It just felt like he was driving forever. And a black cat crosses the street, and then he completely turns around instead of kind of being able to, navigate around it. And he told me, he's I would never cross if a black cat comes, no matter how far I've driven. And he's one time I drove for 4 hours and I ended up turning around, which probably was a lie, but ever since, that was the only superstition I might have had. But I mean, that maybe is the thing that might come close.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think if I have any superstitions. I don't, and I think part of that is being a person of faith. I guess I don't give way to that.
Yeah.
I do, and it's really dumb. My kids think I'm stupid for this. I don't know if you've ever done when you driving and you run a yellow light, right? And there's this thing where you tap on your dashboard. You tap twice on your dashboard, tap once on your windshield, and then one more tap on your dashboard. So it's a bop, 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 bop. Yeah. Oh, no. And it's it
takes away any kind of negative.
It's the cops don't get you if you do that when you drive through a yellow light, da. It was, I don't know, something I learned in high school, from friends of mine. Okay. And I don't do it a lot. I think I mostly do it if I'm in the car with my kids, just to be
mess with them.
It's a kind of a weird version of a dad joke or something like that. But
and they think it's pretty weird.
And they're like, "Dad, you're dumb."
It's so weird, bro. What are you doing?
I'm no, it's good luck. So I won't get a ticket.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one. Think knocking on wood.
Okay.
Maybe that's sometimes I probably, just out of habit, knock on wood, but not I don't really believe it.
Yeah. Nice. All right, let's do one more. These are fun.
All right, one more. Okay. Want me to read this one?
Sure, go
Yeah,
for it.
let's do it. Would you rather be the best player on a horrible team or the worst player on a great team? That's a good one. I feel like that shows like, you know, like the kind of person you are.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Don't mean to put you on the spot. I
Oh
mean,
no.
or I can answer it first. Or
I've so sometimes I pull these out with my kids, and we'll like go round robin with these. Or I used to take my daughter out, and like she'd be like, "Dad, bring your cards," and so we would like do these questions. So I've gone through these several times, so a lot of these are familiar to me. So I've remember reading through this question before.
okay.
And I think kind of where I landed. What was it? I think for my personality type, I don't know that I really like to like stand out and be like the star of anything.
Okay.
Like like at church, I volunteer at the sound team,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that because it's like behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and I can just like hide in the back and
Yeah,
like
you're
do all
not
this
you're
stuff.
not there front and center.
Yeah, but I also play guitar up front from time to time as well. So like
Yeah.
like I
And you
understand both,
sing
but
from time to
I
time
sing
as well
from time
too.
to time, yeah. But I think I would rather be the worst player
on the great team?
on a good team,
Okay.
because that would give me room for improvement. And I think by my team being good, then it would give me something to strive for, to work towards.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I think that's how I want to think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That-
So that's my answer.
Wow, that's a good answer. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I would so I immediately wanted to jump to be the best player on the horrible team just because kind of I'm not relying on anyone.
Gotcha.
Kind of in a way it's like um I'm doing the work, so I only have to worry about myself kind of. But that's not
Gotcha.
where I want to be. If
Okay.
that makes sense. That's kind
Yeah.
of like maybe my old self
Okay.
coming in.
Okay.
And I feel like it could also be a good thing to be the worst player on the great team because you're a lot of what I've learned recently from other podcasts is and just other things and books is you want to be in that group of people where they're kind of not beyond you but in a place where you want to be. You
Yeah.
want to if you're and it's very general, but if you're in this level of life, you don't want to kind of surround yourself by people that are, not aiming to be there or kind of just have different. This I might be kind of like explaining this like maybe it's a little too, might be going like too out of the way.
No, it's
explaining
good. It's
but,
fun. I like it.
But yeah, it's kind of like you want to be surrounded by those that you want to be like,
Yeah.
or that you're striving to be for, even if they're kind of, not to say that somebody's better than somebody else, but they're more experienced, more knowledgeable, have more kind of life skills in that area.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be the worst player on that team.
No, it's good. It reminds me, and I don't know if it's a saying or if I've heard it. It's like, what is it? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong
You're in
room.
the wrong room.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know
That's
who said
exactly
it.
what I was.
Someone smarter than me probably said it.
Yeah, for sure. But it's kind of, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you are the best player on the team,
Mhm.
Who are you? What is, you already won. You're already at the top.
Yeah.
Like there's not really anything that you're striving for anymore.
Yeah.
And I learned that with one example was with like athletes.
Okay.
Like especially like boxers or people in like MMA, like they train their whole lives to kind of get that champion belt, right?
Yeah.
And 99% of them and this is just based off of like one thing I read. I don't know how accurate it is, but they put a statistic in there that I think it's like over 90% of them, once they reach that, like it's so hard to maintain there, not because of physical limitations, but because of mental and kind of like, you've already reached that goal. So that kind of fire that got you there is, dimming down, or not dimming down, but you made it.
Yeah.
So there's not that, that goalpost is knocked over.
Gotcha.
So,
no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I don't know if that relates to that.
No, I think it's
Might have kind of
fantastic.
Carried away with it, but it was
No,
cool.
that's a great
it's
answer.
Cool to remember that.
My I'll probably get carried away on a tangent. My wife and I were watching a what's the guy? Motivational speaker. I get his name wrong. Tony Robbins.
I was like, is it Tony? I was gonna
Yeah,
say
no,
Tony
it's Tony
Robbins. I
Robbins.
was like, that's kind of too obvious.
We
But
were
okay,
no, we
yeah.
were watching this Tony Robbins event live stream yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and he gave a story totally on that same subject about his daughter. She wanted to be a Broadway dancer, so he was asking her like how it was going, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing really good. I'm competing. I'm winning all these competitions." And he was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, you live in Los Angeles. If you want to be the best of the best, you need to move to New York, and you need to go compete with the big dogs on Broadway."
Yeah.
And this, that, the other. She ended up moving to New York because through his recommendation, and then also she decided she needed someone else's opinion as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "People pay me $1 million a year to coach them 3 times," and he's like, "You want to call somebody else?" And he was kind of saying it jokingly.
Yeah.
He's like, "Call somebody else," and then
Yeah.
he that person was a friend of his, so he called that friend really quick, and he's like, "Tell her to go to New York." and, so the friend called her, and eventually she went to New York,
To New
and
York.
and she did go on. So it is that same concept of like,
Yeah.
when you're the best of the best, trying to find that room for improvement.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So,
That's cool.
anyways, fun tangent. I like that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So let's do some stories.
All right. Cool.
Because that's kind of the heart of my podcast is dads
Mhm.
sharing stories with other dads about our successes and about our not so much successes and things that maybe we didn't kind of hit the nail on.
Yeah.
So and just sharing with kind of a heart of encouragement for other dads. Just be like, this is what I'm doing and this is what works for me. Maybe this will work for you too. Or like encouragement of, man, I really screwed up on this, but this is what I learned from it. And my encouragement would be, if you face a situation like that, to handle it differently than I did, and hopefully you have a positive outcome.
Okay. Cool.
So if I'd love to hear some stories, and whichever you want to start with first makes no difference to me. Some learning examples or some good ones. So I will kind of hand it
cool.
over to you and let you.
I wanted to start with a good one, and
Yeah.
I don't know why this always happens to me. I can never in what ways did I do good?
Mhm.
I can't think of one, and that's totally not like the case.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
That's kind of happens with all of us. So that's why I'm going to start with a negative one while I remember the good ones, because
Yeah.
there's totally lots of good ones.
Yeah.
So bedtime has been really hard.
Oh my gosh.
With a toddler.
Oh,
It's been,
yes.
like, I kind of dread it every day. Like, okay, like we have to do bedtime eventually. So it's been the hardest part, especially after working, or just and I don't have a physically taxing job. I'm a housing counselor, and I work with wildfire victims. So there's a lot of mental
Gotcha.
tolls that really, that I go through.
Yeah.
And just mental stress is another kind of stress. But I realize I'm tapped out by the end, by 5 o'clock when I come home. And when you come home you've been there, it's kind of, you come home to chaos. You come home to
Yep.
the 3-year-old screaming, the 1-year-old crying, and mom is happy to see you,
but mom's done.
Happy, I don't know, is she happy to see me? She is, but
Yeah.
it's more like, you better effing help me right now, because I need you.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, it's kind of going off there, but
No, you're good.
it's, I realize I'm tapped out, and they don't want to go to bed. That's the last thing they want to do.
Yep.
So it's so much like tossing and turning, and then she wants me to like rub her head, like rub her hair to go to sleep, which I do, but I'm doing it, and she's like constantly moving, and then she'll move, and then she's like, I want you to rub my head, and then like she won't let me do it because she moves too much.
Oh,
and so she'll move, and then she'll like start demanding me to do it. So it's frustrating kind of keeping up with her.
Yeah.
And then she'll demand me to, cover her the right way, but I didn't do it right. So she'll like have a meltdown, and then it's kind of like trying to not let that bomb go off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dealing with a live bomb.
Yeah.
From 7:30 to 8, which is usually like her bedtime now.
Yep.
So I realize it takes about 30 minutes, but I get really, really worked up, and I know it's not her fault.
Yeah.
It's not her fault. She is just being a toddler. She just has a ton of energy. It's winter, it's cold, it's raining. She hasn't been able to get out as much. So I get that. But it definitely triggers like a very, very like really big part of me when she's just not cooperating.
Yeah.
So I get frustrated, or I'll raise my voice at her, and I know that I'm not supposed to be doing that. I know that it's not her fault. She's barely 3, so it's kind of, I realize it's a lot of, she's just showing the things that I need to work in myself,
Mm-hmm.
because if a toddler is pushing my buttons, that's kind of something that's, not that it's something wrong with me or wrong with us, but
Mm-hmm.
it's, when you really go into the psychology of it and how the way their brain works, like, this is not something that they can control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just can't control it. And some
Yeah.
kids are more wild than others. Like,
Yeah.
there's true, like, there's some parents that have kids that are freaking angels when it comes to bedtime, and
Yep.
you just you smile, like, that's great for you, but and you're low-key kind of super jealous.
It's great for you,
But
jerk.
good for you, happy for you, right?
Yeah.
But it's totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's so hard, like, even when you remember that, even when I'm in the middle of, like, raising my voice and getting frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
like, half of my mind is doing that, the other half is like, hey, Jose, this is normal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is just you getting worked up, and you need to control yourself, or, like, leave the room.
Yeah.
So it's like that battle. So I wish I could leave the room, but then right across is Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
putting our 1-year-old down,
Gotcha.
and I can't leave the room, because my solution is I'm just gonna leave the room, catch a breath, and then just go back in.
Yeah.
But when I leave, she starts shrieking and
Yeah.
crying and banging on the door, and then the little one wakes up. So
Yeah.
a huge part of the frustration is I feel like I'm locked in a prison in there, because I can't go out, because the other one's trying to go to sleep.
Yep.
So it's a lot of our own internal whatever
Yeah.
things that we need to deal with. So that's one way that I'm, I would say I'm lacking in.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do better, which is kind of how I said, like, it's just remembering that this is normal. It
Yeah.
is 100% normal. It's normal for a toddler to act up, for them to throw their food, for them to throw their toys and scream randomly when you're in line at the post office. It's
Yep.
just normal.
Yep.
But it's kind of allowing or practicing that part of the brain to just work on it being a little stronger, the one that knows, like, what's really going on,
Yeah.
to kind of eventually overtake that part that of us that is hard to control, which is that frustration. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's been hard. It's been fun. The self-aware part is is the kind of part that drives me more crazy, and I feel like that's why it's become a little more frustrating, because I know, like, I could do better, but it's
Gotcha.
not there yet.
No, I remember. Yeah, I remember those stages. They were they were fun. Yes, they were fun. No, my kids definitely push my buttons with bedtimes some nights, and I remember some nights getting frustrated and just being like, "You need to go to bed," and, like, shutting the door. And
Like that.
my wife having to come to me and be like, "Dude, like,
Yeah.
how are they gonna have a peaceful night's sleep when the last thing they remember is getting yelled at?" And in the moment, I'm like, "I don't care. They just need to go to sleep." I'm like,
But then
and then
after
I'm
like
just like,
30 minutes,
"Oh my gosh,
you
yeah,
start feeling bad.
yeah."
Yeah.
Or like when my kids were like little, like I'd have to like rock them and like walk my hallway with. I can't remember how many laps I would do. Hallway, living room, hallway, living
Yeah.
room, and it's like, and then you go to like set them down ever so gently, and like right as they hit the mattress, then they like
Spring up.
eyes shoot up, and you're just like so defeated. You're like,
a
oh
meerkat,
my gosh,
just,
yeah.
What's
Like the
up?
last half an hour of like pacing, it's like,
It's like,
yeah,
okay, we're still here.
yeah.
It's been
No,
yeah,
I-
babies are it's been a huge change for sure. I
Yeah.
realize, like the things I want to do,
Mhm.
like, that's like, there's things that I want to do at the end of the day, things that obviously we can't do when we're in dad mode, whether that's like
Yep.
working on a project we're doing, or even if it's just sitting down and playing some video games. Like,
Yeah.
realize
Yep.
I'm in that stage where I daydream about being able to do that at the end of the night, and then I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yep.
like, and it's only like 9, but I'm like, I don't have like I don't even want to do it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's like this weird kind of like, I don't know. Am I like, yeah, it's funny.
No, that's good. No, that's super good. I think all of us dads have been in that scenario, and new dads, you just wait. You'll
It's
get
gonna
there, but
gonna
it'll
get
And it
wild.
passes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
passes. It all comes in stages. Like
and
my
it,
my kids are teenagers now,
that's
and
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and like we have a lot less waking up in the middle of the night. Now it's my son wants to stay up late, and I'm just like, I
Go to
want to go
sleep,
to
dude.
bed, and I have a hard time going to bed until everybody else has gone to bed. So now I'm like, yeah, it's almost like switched a
Hmm.
little bit to where he thinks it's cool to stay up, and he's like, I can stay up late. I'm good. I only need a couple hours of sleep, and I'm like, bro, you need sleep.
You need sleep, man.
Like,
You're
and I
gonna.
want to go to bed. I'm tired. Like, I'm starting to get old. It's like it's 10 o'clock. It's like my bedtime. I need to go to bed. And yeah, yeah.
Is that something? I mean, I don't know if that's like the personal, but like
Mm.
staying up until everybody goes to sleep, or is that something that you always like?
I think it's just like I don't. So I'm a night owl to begin with. Like
Hmm.
that's just me. Like I'm a night owl. So I'll always stay up late. It's tricky because my wife is like a morning person. She loves the mornings.
Mm.
Like she's been getting up this week, and like we just got a gym membership, so she's been
Oh,
getting up and
nice.
going to the
Okay.
gym. And she's out. She's like out at like I think they open at 5, and she's there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You're
And I'm
like
like,
waiting at the
I'm still
door
I'm
at
still
four
asleep.
55 in the morning.
Yeah, seriously. Um, and like I'm just 5 o'clock can come one time a day for me, and that's perfectly acceptable.
The other time I'm knocked out.
Yeah,
I don't need to know
yeah.
about it.
But yeah, so that's so. But I think it was like probably in those stages of like little kids for me, whereas like I couldn't relax and go to sleep until I knew that everybody else was asleep.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if that's like I don't want to say like a protector thing or what,
It
but
could be. And sometimes
it's
those things are like subconscious.
yeah.
Like we don't consciously do it, but like,
Hmm.
yeah,
And like I didn't want to leave. Like I guess I didn't want to leave my kids like just in bed fending for themselves essentially,
yeah,
without and then me going off to bed. So I kind of it's just I guess just something that like happened over years of having kids. Like I just like I'm the last one to go to sleep.
yeah.
And it's been changing a little bit because my kids are getting older. So there are times where I'll let my kids stay up late and I'll be like, I'm going to bed. Don't wake
You
me up.
figure it out.
Like,
Don't die.
you can stay up,
Don't die in the next couple hours.
but if you wake me up, we're going to have issues. So just go to bed. But
Going to sleep or staying up has definitely been something I'm like battling with.
Mm.
Because it's the only time I get free time.
mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah,
it's like the only so I have to sacrifice sleep for kind of being
Yep.
able to just do my own thing. So
Yep.
I'm like playing Call of Duty, kind of like falling asleep,
Yep.
and like, but it's it's the season, and
Yep.
one thing that helps me is that I read your kids are gonna be kids once,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna be a baby once. They're gonna be a toddler once. Like that's it. Like that's not gonna happen again. And I mean, you can have more kids, but
Yeah.
that child is only gonna go through that once.
One time. Yeah.
And your kid or your kids they're gonna be adults for the majority of their lives. So you're gonna have them as kids just for a very. I mean, it seems like it's forever now because I feel like I've been in this stage for like 10 years, but it's
Yeah.
temporary, and
Yeah.
they're gonna be adults. And I mean, everybody says that you're gonna, you're gonna miss it. So I see that, and that it helps me, get through it. But sometimes in the middle of it,
And
I'm
they'll
just
be
like,
like-
let's just freaking get through it.
Yeah, like,
because I'm tired, bro.
Let's just get to the
Let's just
teenage.
do it. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's at least be 5. Where supposedly they stop trying to kill themselves all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just get there.
Yep. No, and that's so true. I guess we're kind of tangenting a little bit, but it's fun. I like it. What was it? We have this. I was just having this conversation with my son, I think a couple days ago, and it's like, dude, I've never had a 14-year-old. I've never had a 14 and a half-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you're the guinea pig.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out with you. Yeah,
Like, we're trying to figure this out. Yes, your sister's gonna get stuff where you had to wait till you were a certain age to get something. She's gonna get it sooner than that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, because my
Whatever.
wife and I are trying to like weed through like how do we do this,
Mm-hmm.
and once we go through it with him, we're like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And it's easier to let a sister do stuff like that. So that's been a fun
And does he get
kind of
like does he
navigating
confront you guys on that? Like
all the
where
time.
did you-
all the time.
Yeah.
Like I had to wait till I was this old, for this whatever privilege it is, whatever thing.
Well, we didn't realize it was such a big deal.
And yeah, and it's like I'm sorry, it's not like we're trying to be mean or like treat you guys differently. It's just you're the guinea pig,
Yeah.
and that's you're the oldest, and so I mean we we try to allot some privileges. 'Cause there was one day that he did get pretty upset, and he's like, I'm the oldest, but you don't treat me like I'm the oldest. Like, you still treat me like I'm a little kid. And like, if I'm gonna be the oldest, like, you need to treat me that way. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's fair. Like, I get that. Like, I'm the oldest son, so like,
Yeah.
I understand that like mindset from the oldest of like, if we're not, like he should have some privileges
Yeah.
that his little sister doesn't have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, so we try where we can to figure stuff out like that, but
It's been fun. It's been hard, I'm sure.
it's
Yeah.
been
Been a
interesting.
headache.
So yeah, we're constantly
Okay, cool.
working through that, but it's the joys of being a parent,
Yeah.
and navigating through those waters. It's good.
So did you and Charity join the gym?
Yeah, we got a family membership to the Y.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
So we all went the other night. Oh my gosh, we did this like my son and I jumped on the treadmill. He's been running all summer with soccer, and
nice.
so he's like flying away. Like, you can set the miles per hour. He's like running like 7-8 miles an hour, like
And it's just
3% incline, and I'm like 3 miles an
3.
hour, no incline,
full
like
sweat.
like just dying over here. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, cardio is hard.
And then yeah, they do some cool circuit stuff. So we did a couple of circuit things, and then my son was also in weightlifting, and for one of his high school classes,
Oh, cool.
he's like,
Okay.
I want to just go to the bench really quick, just do
Yeah.
a couple press on the bench press. So he did one, and then like I gotta get in there and like show him like I can still bench press a little bit.
All right.
So I got in there, and I think I did, I don't even know, we had 25 pounds on each side, so
Uh-huh.
like what is that, 95
95,
pounds?
yeah.
95.
Yeah.
So I did that like 10 times.
Okay, that's
like
a
the-
lot for
the-
if it's been a while.
It's been years, dude. High school.
That's a lot.
Like, but I did it. It was cool. And then the next day, I'm like, what did I do?
Dude, that's a lot. I mean,
was
even
like, oh my gosh.
I started the gym again like 3-4 months ago
Nice.
after taking like maybe a year off.
Okay.
And I did not start with 25s on each side just
Dang.
because I mean we're older now, you know.
Yeah.
And the recovery is so
Mhm.
that's I got sore by just putting, I think I just did like just the bar and maybe like a 10, and I was sore. So I
Dude,
can imagine that.
I wouldn't do it again. Like I would ease myself back
Yeah.
into it. I just, in the moment, I couldn't let him show me.
Oh no, for sure. I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing. For sure.
All right. No,
Yeah,
that's
I know
super
we
fun.
kind of probably
Oh, we totally
went
rabbit
somewhere
trail.
else,
No,
but
it's all
cool.
good. I love it. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to think of some cool success stories, or just some ways that you feel like, even just like this happened, I did this, and afterwards I was like, oh, I did that right. I should do that again. Or, and I know they
Yeah.
are. Sometimes it's hard to think of them.
I know there are.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a good dad, I promise. I just don't. I'm like one of those
Yeah.
that I have trouble, like, you know, like I remember my faults more than I remember.
Oh, totally.
Or, which happens to, you know, most of us.
Yeah.
I don't know if like any story, like I'll try and remember, but I guess I could just say in general.
Yeah, or
Like,
like
just-
an attitude maybe that
Yeah,
you try to have. Maybe
just-
that's it. Maybe that would be a
Just
better
in,
way.
yeah, just in general, like doing the thing I need to do, you know, kind of just being a dad.
Mhm.
You know, I'm going to work,
Mm-hmm.
and me and my wife, we kind of made that, you know, we were on the same page, that agreement that I'm going to be the one going to work. She's going to
Yeah.
be staying at home,
Gotcha.
raising our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I managed that part, you know, pretty good as far as, you know, being responsible of going to work, doing what I need to do, and coming home and being present. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the hardest, not the hardest, like I've been doing it. It's, I don't do anything else. But I feel like that's such a huge thing that I try and remember that I do, because some dads, and I'm not knocking any other
Mm-hmm.
dad,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everybody has different jobs. You know,
Mhm.
my job, it's not physically taxing, it's mentally taxing. But
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not trying to say that if you don't do this, you're less than. Everybody
Yeah.
has their own, you know, whatever, own home, like own way of doing things. But I do get home, and the first thing I do is, you know, grab one of them, or kind of, you know, say hi to both, but in what way can I be of service to my wife?
Yeah.
See, be of service to my home, to my kids. You know, I'll sit on the floor with them, be surrounded by them, and then my dog comes and starts licking my face, and so it's like overstimulation everywhere after
Yeah.
kind of being, you know, yelled at by somebody at my job.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So it's been really hard to change out those gears when you get home, but I feel like I've kind of been doing a good job at it.
Nice.
of it, of not coming home and just sitting down and watching TV while I
Mm-hmm.
watch my wife cook and take care of our kids. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's a huge win. So if you're
Nice.
at least doing that,
Yeah.
and you're listening to this, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so pat yourself on the back. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you're just going to work, like I mean, you're doing your part, and you're supporting your family. So it's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I feel like that, like just being a present dad
Mm-hmm.
the whole day is kind of a huge win.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I'm always present mentally. There is sometimes that we all kind of go through our things when we're stressed out about whatever other things. And so sometimes when I do get home and I am sitting there with them and kind of playing with them, my mind does wander somewhere else. And I do beat myself up sometimes, and I'm like, why can't I just enjoy the time with them instead of kind of counting the hours for them to go to sleep? So I
Yeah.
do, I have my days, but
Yeah.
I would say that's a win. The fact that
Yeah. Totally.
I am, I'm doing my job, is supporting my family, and I'm present when I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's kind of what I would say I've been, succeeding in.
Well, yeah. No. Totally. I
It's
think.
not a particular story, but I guess
Yeah.
in general, that would be a good one.
No. I think that's huge. I think. I mean, I couldn't point to any like studies or statistics that I know or have read of, but I think if I had to take a guess, I think dads just being present in the home and engaged, I think is huge.
Yeah.
And not having that, like, I'll use the air quotes, like deadbeat dad kind of
Yeah.
mentality of, I went to work and I want to come home and rest and just get away from me, kind of a thing like that, but actually engaging and like doing the hard stuff.
Yeah, like, I went to work now, kind of I need to be taken care of. As soon as
exactly.
I get home.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I know there's like I said, it's hard. Like I never want to judge anyone,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean that was just a generation ago where that was the norm, right? Like
Mhm.
so, like yeah, I'm not trying to judge anyone, but the fact that if you're a pretty present dad,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's a big deal. That's a
Totally.
pretty big deal. So
Totally. No, those are fantastic answers, and I really like your thought and just how you put all that together, and I think that's super encouraging um, for dads, for all of us, even for me, like with teenagers. My kids, like a lot of our days, like my son, and I read this somewhere. He's 14 and a half. He'll be 15 in May. But he's kind of like treating his bedroom like an apartment. Like seriously, like
Yeah.
he gets home and he's like, I just want to go to my room and hang
Yeah.
out. I'm like, okay.
yeah,
And
I
like
remember that.
he always tries to go eat in his room, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm gonna go eat in my room. Is that okay? It's like, come hang out with the family. Like,
And then
we're
he
out
probably
here.
says it like it's normal, like I'm gonna go eat my
Yeah,
room. What do you
yeah.
mean? Like,
Um, and I kind of I read or heard that somewhere, and talked about like teenagers, and I don't know if it's boys
Yeah.
and girls or just boys, but we'll kind of get to this age where they try to turn their bedroom like into their like
their own
kind of own little like
little studio
home,
apartment.
little
Yeah.
studio apartment thing. It's
I
like,
for sure did that.
bro, you want to start paying rent? Like,
Yeah, I did that for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't like I didn't see it like that, but
Yeah,
it makes
no.
sense. Like, yeah, I wanted to do everything in
Yeah.
my room. I got home from school, going straight to my room. I don't want to deal with anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peace out, roommates.
Yeah. So I mean that being present, it's like, I guess I'll say it's trickier.
Yeah, I'm
Because
sure.
my kid, like my son, just wants to be in his room. My daughter just wants to be in her room.
Yeah, they have their own interests.
Like they have
Yeah.
their own stuff,
They're
and
not
like
begging for your attention.
yeah, like they're not kids. They don't need me to survive. They
Yeah.
can. My daughter can cook food. My son can make ramen. He
Yeah.
he can
He'll
survive
survive a few months.
a few months off ramen. So yeah, it's like, but I back to that point of just being present is huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, being present. I like that. I like that point.
Thanks, man.
So I did want to touch on one thing, and I haven't even looked it up, but you were telling me a month or a couple weeks ago, you have a Facebook page that you do
Yes.
about like outer space stuff.
Yeah.
I love outer space.
Yeah, cool. Me too. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I have a job. I like my job. It's a cool job. But ultimately I do want to kind of make, earn income in other ways.
Yeah.
So social media has always been something that's been fascinating to me.
Okay.
Especially nowadays, the fact that, they just kind of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all of them, they just kind of pay you if you have
Mhm.
enough of an audience to
Yeah.
just put out content. Um, so a few years ago, I started a page, and I called it the Galactic Void,
Okay.
and it's basically all things like astronomy and space,
Okay. Galactic
things
void.
as simple as planets in our solar system, and as far as like learning about black holes and everything else that's out there. Um, it the first year or two, it kind of slowly went, started picking up a little bit.
Is that it?
But in yeah, that's it.
Oh, bro, I'm
In the
totally
last like 90 days, it grew like over 300,000 followers, or like 400,000 followers. So now it's like at 500,000.
Yeah, 5.95. I can talk.
Oh yeah,
509,000
thousand
followers.
followers. Yeah.
Holy cow.
So it's been
That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, it's something that a couple of years ago I was trying to figure out what to really put my energy into because I had so many ideas. I'm like, I want to try and do this. I want to try and start a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things that
Yeah.
out of I just see something new that's shiny and I'm like, ooh, what's this?
Yep.
Until the other shiny thing comes along. So I had a lot of different ideas of projects to monetize, and then kind of just prayed about it one day.
Yeah.
And just had a conversation with God, and it's like, hey, what do I focus on? Because I need to focus on one thing. Because that's one thing I also learned recently is, I mean, people are under the impression that your average millionaire or multimillionaire has multiple streams of income.
Mhm.
And that's true. That is 100% true. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But they didn't start with 10 projects
Mm.
and said, I'm going to put 10% of my effort into each thing. Because
Gotcha.
with each project that you're getting into, with each niche and each, like, wherever you're heading,
Mhm.
there's competition. And there's always going to be people that are giving their 100% into it.
Yeah.
While you're just giving a certain percentage because you're leaving some for the other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I prayed about it. I'm like, what should I focus on? And I just felt like I heard social media, and you already have a following somewhere, so just kind of, and you're interested in it,
Okay.
And I was kind of interested in space. I thought it was cool. Now I'm more interested in it because I kind of had to create the content for it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I post on it every day. I create content. I share cool stuff. It's growing very fast.
Yeah.
It has like 500,000 on Facebook, about 70 something on Instagram,
Okay.
and then like 20 something on Threads.
Okay.
20 something thousand, and then like 40,000 on TikTok. So it's
Dang.
kind of
Okay.
I'm really proud of myself for like
Yeah.
that I've actually managed to get it this far.
That's super awesome.
And I was able to start monetizing about 3 months ago.
That's awesome.
It's a it's not a lot. It's not what I make at my job.
Yeah.
It's not even half of that, but it's more money than I've ever made in a side hustle in my whole life.
That's
and
awesome.
if this is just the first 3 months,
Yeah.
I mean, I just can only see it kind of, increasing from there with the amount of audience that's coming in. Because the more followers you have, the more people you're reaching,
Yeah.
the more money that they're going to pay you for each of those people.
Yeah.
And they don't pay you off the amount of followers. They pay you off of the amount of people that your content reaches.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if sometimes you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram and you'll see like an ad between the comments, or just kind of a promotional post. Like, that's why they pay me, because my audience, they use my audience to kind of put those
in front
ads somewhere
Gotcha.
in there. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I like outer space. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to get myself a telescope eventually, because I feel like the only thing I have is just that page about it. And that's the only way I really have learned.
Nice.
But it's been cool. It's been fun for sure. So if there's anybody listening and you're into like social media, or kind of, it's a whole world out. Basically, any passion can be turned into something that you can monetize online, and that's the world that we live in now. I mean, people go to YouTube to learn how to do stuff, and
totally.
the people are making the content for free, but you're watching a 30-second ad before the video loads on how to change your tire. So, and they're getting paid for that.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is just the start of social media monetization, and it's not just social media, it's just online in general. Like, I mean, like podcasts, people have newsletters. So there's other ways that I would want to eventually monetize that brand too, like doing like email newsletters or stuff like that, and start maybe throwing in affiliate links in there. There's different ways to do it, and I'm not trying to shove products down my audience's throat. Like I want to, like I'm respectful of them. They follow me because they like the content, not because I'm selling them anything. So if I do that, it'll be kind of a little more passive.
Yeah, that's good. Who do I follow? Several people, and their big thing is they're always talking about serving their community and serving their audience base. So like your point is not being like sleazy salesmen, like just shove all these products on somebody. And that's not the heart behind it. The heart is like, I found this thing that's really cool. I'm pretty sure that my audience would appreciate that as well. Let me tell them about it.
Exactly. Yes. And then how do if and the idea is not just to make money. The idea is to do something you're passionate about and you enjoy doing. Which nowadays can be monetized without selling a product to somebody and without like I said, like shoving an ad down their throat. It's just more kind of passively and it's a cool a lot of opportunities these days for sure.
That's awesome. I may have to hit you up for some tips and tricks on that because I'm trying to dabble into that world, and I feel like
I feel like I have no one to talk to about that. Anytime I talk to anybody, they kind of like what? What are you talking about? No, it feels like a scam.
It's super
fun.
When
I mention it to people, they're like, they look at me weird. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just Facebook pays me, and then they're like, okay, whatever.
That's super awesome.
So I would love to. That'd be really cool. Maybe we could work on something together. That'd be really cool.
That'd be super fun. I was happy that my video game channel that I do on YouTube got 14 subscribers.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
You're here at 500,000 subscribers, so I have some work to do.
I mean, to be honest, the first 1,000 takes longer than anything. Like like that first 1 to 1,000, you could be there for years and decades. Until but it's fun, and there's a lot of competition, and everybody's trying to do it. But there's an art to it, and there's psychology to it, and there's a lot that I didn't realize back then. And I feel like after being into it for so many years, probably over a decade, since Instagram came out, I became like obsessed with social media for some reason.
Gotcha.
Took me this long to kind of become successful.
Gotcha. No,
not even awesome. Successful, that's a big word, but whatever, to find the right road that I wanted to be on.
No, that's super awesome. Well, hey, I think I will be sure to find those links, get them in the show notes. So if you want to go check out Jose's The Galactic Void Facebook account, Instagram, Threads. I just liked the Facebook page. I'll be following up with Instagram and Threads, but I'll also get those in the show notes. So go check those out.
Thanks,
follow Jose. It'll be super cool. Dude, this has been a super fun episode today. I super appreciate you. One, coming and doing this live setup. I hope this all
no, I'm happy to be here. It looks awesome.
Okay.
I love the brick wall. So kind of gives it like some sort of character. I don't know.
So hopefully this will be
something
good.
Like that.
Hopefully you enjoy this. We'll do more like this, and I'll also be doing more online stuff as well. But that will wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for joining in. Well, guys, that is a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate it. Be sure to check out the show notes for any referenced information. And it would mean a lot to me if you would comment on and rate this podcast, as well as share this episode with a friend or family member. I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, dad hard.